Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released.
In a shocking twist that's shaken the entertainment world, Diddy, one of the most influential figures in music, finds himself betrayed by someone he never expected, his own son, Quincy. Rumors are swirling that Quincy, Diddy's eldest son, has been working undercover, possibly cooperating with federal authorities to expose his father's most closely guarded secret.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines.
Diddy, already battling numerous legal troubles, now faces a betrayal so deep it may lead to his ultimate downfall. But how did it get to this point? What could have driven Quincy to turn against his father?
Disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, once known for his lavish lifestyle and living large in his multi-million-dollar mansions, has a new home as he awaits trial in his federal trafficking case. Last week, the Bad Boy Founders defense team unsuccessfully fought to keep the music producer out of federal jail after his arrest. Now his new digs once house other high-profile inmates, including R. Kelly, Fetty Wap, Sam Bankman-Fried, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Diddy is currently housed at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, a stark difference from the glitz, glamour, and wealth in Hollywood and Star Island in Miami Beach, Florida. But MDC Brooklyn has been described as hell on earth, with horrifying conditions. The facility, which now houses Diddy, opened in the early 90s and is the only federal jail in New York City after the Bureau of Prisons closed its Metropolitan Correctional Center in 2021 after many issues came to light in the wake of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide just 2 years earlier. MDC Brooklyn, which houses about 1,200 detainees with conditions reportedly so terrible some judges have refused to send people there, is mainly used for post-arrest detention for people awaiting trial in federal courts in Manhattan or Brooklyn. According to the Associated Press, detainees have complained about rampant violence, severe staffing shortages, and widespread drug and contraband smuggling, some of which is even facilitated by employees.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and trafficking. So We know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
As the story unfolds, the layers of deception, control, and family dynamics are being revealed, leaving fans and insiders stunned. Quincy's alleged role as an informant might be the key to Diddy's downfall, and the entertainment world waits with bated breath to see how this drama unfolds. Quincy's alleged betrayal, working undercover against Diddy. Quincy's rumored betrayal of Diddy marks a significant turning point in their relationship. Quincy, who was adopted and raised by Diddy after his relationship with Kim Porter, has always been seen as part of Diddy's inner circle. However, reports are now emerging that Quincy may have been secretly cooperating with federal authorities to expose his father's illicit dealings. The idea of a son working against his father is almost unfathomable, but insiders suggest that Quincy's knowledge of Diddy's dark side may have prompted this decision. Betrayal cuts deepest when it's from family, one source close to the family said.
A shocked and devastated Diddy spotted at the home where his ex suddenly and mysteriously died. Her good friend Kimora Lee Simmons appearing inconsolable at the house, 47-year-old Porter's body found after a desperate call to 911.
EMS 14, respond with engine 76 on scene of the cardiac arrest.
Tonight, Kim's untimely death raising questions and sending shockwaves through Hollywood. She was the fashion model, actress, and world-famous mother to Diddy's kids.
Extra, extra.
With the hip-hop superstar and their children as he received his star on the Walk of Fame.
We're gonna make sure we have this moment right here.
She was last seen looking happy and healthy with her ex and their children at this event just 16 days before her death. TMZ reporting she had been suffering from flu-like symptoms and possibly pneumonia, but an official cause has yet to be released.
And I'm just glad that he's alive to text.
Definitely.
Yeah. But when you think about Kim, I was thinking to myself the other day, Uptown Records started with 5 people. Andre Harrell, I'll Be Sure, Heavy D, and Puffy. And Kim was the longest working employee because she was there from the very beginning. She was Andre's personal assistant. Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only 2 left are Puffy and Al almost died.
Quincy's role as an informant has thrown the Combs family into turmoil, raising questions about what he's willing to reveal and how long this betrayal has been in the making. Diddy's arrest and the legal fallout.
Hey, I'm Hallie, and tonight we are learning in just the last few minutes that a federal judge is now refusing to grant Sean Diddy Combs bail. Instead, he's going straight to jail tonight after Diddy pleaded not guilty to charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. Want to show you some of these brand new court sketches coming into us, like literally in the last 90 seconds. This is Combs in court after prosecutors arrested him at a hotel in Manhattan. It's where he's apparently been living for weeks, according to what a person familiar with the move tells NBC News. All of it a tipping point now in that sprawling federal investigation into the superstar's alleged years of sex crimes dating back to 2009. As we're just getting in some new and deeply disturbing details about the allegations against him and what looks like a massive criminal operation, allegedly. At least 50 victims and witnesses so far. And at the center of it, these hours and days-long acts known as, in their words, freak-offs that Combs supposedly orchestrated to abuse his victims. Prosecutors say Combs punched and kicked his victims to try to keep them under control. He'd also, they say, filled them up with drugs like ketamine and ecstasy for long periods of times, even using incriminating records to try to manipulate his victims. Prosecutors say they discovered this wide range of evidence against Combs in several raids. They found things, they say, like AR-15s, narcotics, more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricants. We should note here that an attorney for Combs says that he, I'm quoting here, will fight this with all of his energy. His team is already planning to appeal the bail ruling, meaning they will be back in court tomorrow, as Combs has, as we mentioned, pleaded not guilty. We've got team coverage, Laura Jarrett standing by with the legal analysis piece of it. But I want to start outside court with Julia Ainsley, because Julia, this went fairly late into the day. I know you've been at the courthouse as a judge, as we've just learned, is denying this request for bail. Explain why that is and what else we've learned today.
Yeah, that's right. We were in there for about 2 hours as the Justice Department from the Southern District of New York laid out their case, very similar to what you saw in the indictment, saying why he should not be released, because they say that he is a flight risk, he could leave the country, and also that he has a history of obstructing justice. They also pointed to how serious these crimes were, that with previous allegations of trafficking like R. Kelly and Jeffrey Epstein, the judges also denied bail in that case. But his defense laid out a very lengthy rebuttal to all of that. We heard them say that this is different from Jeffrey Epstein and R. Kelly because there are no minors being alleged in the indictment here. They also say that these acts were consensual, and they point to victim number one, who's named over and over again, who they say is someone within a 10-year relationship with Combs.
In September 2024, Diddy's arrest on charges ranging from racketeering to coercion sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The music mogul, who once seemed untouchable, is now facing serious legal battles. But perhaps the most shocking aspect of this arrest is the role Quincy is rumored to be playing in the case. According to legal sources, Quincy may be a key witness, providing critical information about Diddy's activities behind the scenes. This revelation has fractured the bond between father and son, and it's hard to see how their relationship could ever recover from such a deep betrayal. Quincy holds all the cards now, a legal expert speculated, suggesting that Quincy's testimony could make or break the case against his father. Kim Porter's family, seeking justice through Quincy. Kim Porter's family has long suspected that her sudden death in 2018 was not as simple as it appeared. Quincy, Kim's son, witnessed firsthand the complex relationship between his mother and Diddy. Sources close to the family say that Kim's family believes Quincy's cooperation with investigators may finally bring them the justice they've been seeking. Kim's family has been vocal about their suspicions, and with Quincy possibly sharing details about Diddy's treatment of his mother, new light could be shed on the circumstances surrounding Kim's death. We've waited too long for answers, one family member said. With Quincy's alleged cooperation, the investigation into Kim's death could be reignited, bringing the truth closer to the surface. The freak-off parties, Quincy's knowledge of Diddy's secrets.
Criminal defense attorney Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise. And they said that this enterprise consisted of him as the alleged leader, his employees, assistants, staff, allegedly, that were able to procure women and alleged male workers to engage in performances for his own sexual gratification. Where it differs from a mob indictment, it has all the elements of putting together this racketeering allegation of all these moving pieces using resources from his businesses. But the fact that this is about an allegation of sexual gratification being accomplished by alleged human trafficking, it's one of the most unique indictments I've ever seen in this area, in the area of crimes, because the government isn't actually prosecuting the crimes other than the human trafficking or the trafficking. They're not prosecuting any type of alleged abuse to women, although that's part of this racketeering scheme. But the actual charges are racketeering conspiracy, trafficking, and transporting individuals over state lines to engage in prostitution. The reasoning around all of this, his alleged motivation as presented in that indictment by the government, is for his own personal gratification. And that's just the strangest type of indictment I've ever seen. But I agree with you, this indictment reads, it's very disturbing. The facts presented are out of, a very bad Hollywood story. And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those two raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles.
One of the most controversial aspects of Diddy's legacy is his infamous freak-off parties, gatherings shrouded in secrecy and scandal. These events were rumored to involve a world of indulgence that included controlled substances and exploitation. Quincy, as part of Diddy's inner circle, was likely aware of these parties and what went on behind closed doors. His proximity to these events raises critical questions. What did Quincy see, and how much is he willing to reveal? If Quincy provides details about these parties, it could not only damage Diddy's legal defense, but also shatter his public image. As one insider said, Quincy knows where the bodies are buried. FBI raids and the shocking discoveries.
They said that this person actually tried to sell this same story as book rights to Combs to try to get it out of the media's eye, but instead when he refused, then this civil lawsuit came up. But the judge ultimately said that he could not be released because he is a danger, he has a history of substance abuse and anger issues, and she really drilled down on the fact that after those civil allegations came out last November, he talked to multiple women who he knew during that period and who he apparently tried to change their narrative so they wouldn't go forward and continue testifying or being witnesses to some of these acts that were alleged in the civil complaint and then were again put in the indictment today. And so she said in order to keep that from happening and really to end trafficking, since that can happen behind closed doors, it was best to keep him detained without bond.
Julia, it is, I think for a lot of folks, they will find this stunning considering that Diddy, right, Sean Combs, has been previously one of the most successful music superstars in the world. Just a year ago, he was handed a key to New York City. Now here we are, after months of this being out in the public, these allegations being made public, his denials. He's potentially facing 15 years to life in prison. What does the timeline look like here?
Well, we understand that tomorrow they'll try to appeal the judge's decision. His defense will do that tomorrow at 3:30. They'll meet again next week for a conference, and then perhaps we'll be looking at a trial early next year. But Hallie, I have to say what you said there was also striking. I mean, I watched him today sitting there very humbly in court in a black T-shirt, nodding along with his defense, otherwise just looking very stoic, straight ahead at the judge. It's hard to imagine this is the same man, but the timeline is also staggering. It's one thing to think, oh, that was something that happened a long time ago. But the prosecution today said that these acts, what they're calling sex trafficking and coercion, all continued up until this year, Hallie, and started as far back as 2009. So this was not a brief window.
And we're back with some breaking news. A federal detention hearing for Sean Diddy Combs has just ended, and CNN's Kara Scannell is outside the courthouse in New York. Kara, obviously, this is a huge case. What just happened?
Yeah, Jake. So the magistrate judge overseeing this hearing today has remanded Sean Diddy Combs into custody after he was charged with that trafficking case. He was let out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals, and he will be held in federal detention as this case moves forward. Now, this followed a lengthy hearing with both prosecutors and Diddy's attorneys arguing reasons why he should be kept behind bars and why he should be released. Diddy's lawyers saying that he has taken voluntary steps, including turning over his passport to his lawyers, saying he would report any of his movements to prosecutors. But the judge finding that that was just not enough. She said, "My concern is that this is a crime that happened behind closed doors, even when pretrial services is monitoring." So she said there was nothing that his lawyers had offered that made her feel comfortable that he would return to this courthouse for subsequent court hearings and for a trial. She said that it was both his substance abuse and the fact that some of this physical abuse that's been alleged occurred when he was using drugs and alcohol, that was a reason why she couldn't trust that he would not commit any additional crimes while he was left on bail. So Sean Diddy Combs is not going to be walking out this door. He is in federal custody, where he will be unless his lawyers are able to convince a different judge to release him.
Let's bring in March 2024, federal agents raided Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami, uncovering a trove of shocking items. From drugs and firearms to over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, the raids painted a disturbing picture of Diddy's private life. Quincy's knowledge of these hidden activities is said to be crucial to the prosecution's case. The bizarre nature of these discoveries, particularly the connection to Diddy's freak-off parties, has fueled speculation that Quincy's insider information could blow the case wide open. Quincy knows more than anyone One legal source said if he decides to testify about these discoveries, it could seal Diddy's fate in court. Quincy's bond with his biological father, Al B. Sure.
We're now getting a closer look at the mountains of evidence federal investigators collected at the homes of P. Diddy leading up to his indictment. This includes things like guns, ammunition, electronic evidence, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricant. To understand all this and how it relates to Diddy's case, we're hearing from former CIA officer and FBI agent Tracy Walder. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. Major news this week out of New York, where now disgraced rapper Sean P. Diddy Combs was arrested and taken into custody. On Monday, a grand jury indicted him on multiple federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Homeland Security took Diddy into custody at the Park Hyatt in New York. According to his legal team, Diddy's been in the city for the past week ahead of these anticipated charges. So Diddy may have had a heads up that these charges were on the way, but it wasn't a complete surprise to the rest of us either. Federal investigators issued search warrants on 2 of Diddy's homes this spring, and that's when experts told us it's not if, but when Diddy will be arrested. We couldn't confirm then that Diddy was the target of the search, but we had a good idea what investigators were looking for: electronic evidence of alleged illegal acts like sexual assault or racketeering. These allegations date back to November of last year, when Cassandra Ventura, known publicly as the singer Cassie, filed civil suit against Diddy. She laid out some major claims against him, saying over the course of their relationship, Diddy physically and emotionally abused her, forced her to carry illegal weapons, and even made her have prostitutes. The lawsuit was settled outside of court just one day after it was filed, but it was just the start of the wave of lawsuits that Diddy would soon face. Over the next few months, multiple other accusers came forward with civil suits alleging Diddy's pattern of abuse dated back as far as the 1990s. A civil suit filed by Rodney Jones, also known as the producer Lil Rod, brings these accusations into 2024. According to Lil Rod's lengthy suit, Diddy is the kingpin in a gun trafficking, drug trafficking, and trafficking scheme. Lil Rod also accused Diddy of assault and echoed Cassie's allegation that Diddy forced him to have sex with a prostitute. Lil Rod's lawsuit includes something else that may have piqued the Fed's interest. He alleges there are hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings of Diddy's illegal behavior. We now know this is what the feds were searching for on March 25th, when they executed search warrants at Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. At the time, we only speculated that investigators collected electronic evidence, but now we know for sure. According to the indictment against Diddy, investigators seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant from his home. The court doc states these items were used in something referred to as freak-offs, which were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, masturbated during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial workers across state lines and internationally. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in acts with commercial workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. So Diddy's business employees allegedly facilitated these freak-offs by stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak-offs to try to mitigate room damage, arranging for travel for victims, commercial sex workers, and Combs to and from freak-offs, resupplying Combs with the requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to Combs to pay the commercial sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. So these items were collected during the federal raids, including narcotics and hundreds of bottles of lube and baby oil. There were also electronic files of these freak-offs, and the feds collected those too. In addition to all this, investigators seized AR-15 guns, ammunition, and a large-capacity drum magazine from Diddy's home. Since those raids in March, federal prosecutors have been crafting their case against Diddy, which led to grand jury proceedings against him. So he was indicted on Monday and taken into custody, and on Tuesday, that indictment was unsealed. Also on Tuesday, Diddy appeared in federal court where he pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. During the hearing, Diddy was also denied bail, a federal judge ruling he must remain in custody until trial.
In recent years, Quincy has grown closer to his biological father, Al B. Shore, further deepening the rift between him and Diddy. Al B. Shore has long hinted that he holds Diddy responsible for many of the tragedies that have befallen their family, particularly Kim Porter's death. Quincy's closeness to his biological father may have played a role in his decision to cooperate with authorities. Family loyalty runs deep, one source noted. Al B. Shore has not been shy about voicing his suspicions, even suggesting that Diddy may have played a role in both Kim's death and his own health issues. With Quincy aligning more closely with his biological father, the betrayal feels even more personal for Diddy. Quincy's knowledge of Kim Porter's final days. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this family saga is the mystery surrounding Kim Porter's final days. Quincy, who was extremely close to his mother, may hold key information about what really happened in the days leading up to her death. Rumors have circulated that Kim was attempting to distance herself from Diddy, and some believe that Quincy knows more than he's revealed about the fear she felt. If Quincy shares what he knows about his mother's final days, it could potentially reopen the investigation into her death. Quincy was there, he saw everything, said a close friend of the family. His testimony could change the entire narrative surrounding Kim's death. The growing rift between Diddy and Quincy. The father-son relationship between Diddy and Quincy has been strained for years, but now it seems irreparable. With Quincy reportedly cooperating with federal authorities, the divide between them has reached a breaking point. The public has watched as their once close bond has deteriorated, and now many are wondering if there's any chance of reconciliation. This might be the final fracture, one family insider said. Quincy's decision to work with investigators has left Diddy feeling betrayed, and the possibility of Quincy testifying against his father in court seems like the ultimate end of their relationship. Diddy's legal defense and Quincy's role. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to the charges against him and has been fighting hard to clear his name. However, Quincy's involvement could severely undermine Diddy's defense. As someone who was inside Diddy's world, Quincy's testimony would carry significant weight in court. Legal experts believe that Quincy's role as both an insider and family member makes him a particularly damaging witness for Diddy's case. Diddy's defense is crumbling, and Quincy might be the final nail in the coffin. One legal analyst said, if Quincy testifies, it could mark the end of Diddy's ability to maintain his innocence in the eyes of the public and the law. The impact on Diddy's legacy and Quincy's future. As the legal battle unfolds, Diddy's once untouchable empire appears to be crumbling. Quincy's cooperation with authorities casts a long shadow over his father's legacy. Diddy, who built his career as a music mogul and cultural icon, now faces the possibility of losing everything. For Quincy, the future is uncertain. His decision to betray his father could either solidify his place as a truth teller or alienate him from the industry that his father once ruled. This could be the defining moment for both of them, said one industry insider. As Diddy's empire falls, Quincy's next steps will determine whether he emerges as a hero or a pariah in Hollywood. In conclusion, the drama between Diddy and his son Quincy has captivated the entertainment world. Quincy's alleged betrayal, combined with Diddy's mounting legal troubles, has created a spectacle that no one could have predicted. As the case moves forward, all eyes are on Quincy and what he might reveal next. Diddy's once unshakable legacy hangs in the balance, and it's clear that this family saga is far from over. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more updates on this developing story. Until next time.